Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about $50 mono red trample. I'm very excited to bring this list to you. As always, before we head into the video, I gotta shout out DVT Habit for suggesting another fantastic deck. Longtime viewer of the channel, thank you so much for giving me this idea for mono red trample. This is a very, very fun list. I'm very excited to share it with you. As always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about the list? Is there any card that I forgot to include? Just let me know in the comment section. So, all right, $50 mono red trample. So, he originally made the suggestion of doing just a monocolor deck with it. And for those who don't know, the card that's on the thumbnail here is red and green. It's like the red and green hybrid. And I decided, green trample, that's been, everybody does that. Let's do red trample, and this is a very, very fun deck. So let's go and hop into it here. So these are some of our spicy one-drops. We're playing 4 Stonecoil Serpent, 4 Exuberant Fusling, and 2 Legion Loyalists. So a couple things I gotta go over with each of these cards. So Stonecoil Serpent, obviously a fantastic card. It has trample. In all that word of text, it has trample. It's just a really good card. We can play it on any scale. We can play it on turn 1, 2, 3, 4, whenever. It's just a really, really good card. Exuberant Fusling is more of just a value one-drop for the most part, because it says when it enters and whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard, it gets an oil counter. So, I mean, it's mostly just if any of our other creatures die, it gets bigger for the most part. That's really all it does. But it's still a really, really good card, though. Don't get me wrong. So, Legion Loyalist. So, this card would normally be a 4 of, but we're doing a $50 deck, and I was not able to fit a full 4 copies of it in the deck. It's really good, though. It has Battalion. When it at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain first strike and trample until end of turn and can't be blocked by creature tokens, which is pretty sweet. So obviously giving the trample is very, very relevant. And again, everything having trample is going to make sense pretty much on our last slide. It's not just like a theme we're picking tramplers. There's a reason, there's a payoff of why we are doing it. And Legion Loyalist is definitely one of the best payoffs for that. Next slide here, we have some of our medium-sized creatures, I guess you could say. So we're playing 4 Inti. I always don't know how this is pronounced. I think it's Seneschal or Seneschal. I don't know if it's Chawl or Shawl of the Sun. Anyways, 2/2 for 2. Whenever you attack, you may discard a card. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature, and it gains trample until end of turn. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until your next end step. This card is extremely strong. It's whenever you attack. It itself does not have to attack. Obviously, giving trample is very, very relevant. And it puts a 1/1 counter on an attacking creature, which is pretty sweet. So, definitely a big fan of those. There, in terms of a $50 deck, $3 a piece is kind of pricey, but there's a reason why, because this card is absolutely insane. We're also playing 2 Kenra Spell Spear. I really like this card. I kind of have like a knack for like really, really simple cards that are just like cool and strong. And this is definitely one of those cards. 2/2 for 2 Trample and Prowess. And then 3 in a blue Phyrexian hybrid. We can transform it. And then it transforms into Gitaxian Spellstalker, which has 3/3 Trample Ward 2. And then Prowess, which is pretty sweet. The Prowess, exactly, it says right there. Each instance of Prowess triggers separately. That's just a sweet card. I'm really a big fan of it. And then obviously you saw it a little bit here. Reckless Stormseeker. So, the front side does not give trample, and it itself does not have trample. It just gives the 1/0 and haste, but when it transforms into Stormcharge Slasher, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample, which is pretty sweet. So that I figured we'd throw it in there, but we also have a lot of different ways that the front side Reckless Stormseeker can also get trample. So I figured we'd go ahead and put it in here. The card is absolutely incredible. So our last side here, we have some of our bigger creatures, and then the main heart and soul of the deck there. But we're playing 4 Bone Crusher Giant. There's nothing I can say about Bone Crusher Giant I haven't already said on the channel. The card's absolutely incredible. The 2-mana Stomp is great. The other side creature is really, really good as well. We're also playing 2 Urabrask's Forge. 3-mana artifact, and this actually triggers really well with the Fusling. At our upkeep, we put an oil counter on it, then make an X1 with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on it, and we sacrifice it. It's just a great card. It just keeps spitting out more tramplers for us, and gets bigger as time goes on. Definitely a big fan of Urabrask's Forge. And then last but not least, we're playing 4 Proud Wildbonder, 4/3 for 4 with Trample. Creatures you control with Trample you may have this creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked, which is just sweet. So all of our Tramplers, we attack, and yes, they can block, but I mean, guess what? they deal the damage. It doesn't even matter, which is pretty sweet. So definitely a big fan of Proud Wildbonder. Very, very unique card. You don't see a lot of those cards in the Pioneer format, and it's very cool that we have a card like this. When I originally was building this deck, I didn't originally think of this card, and then I found it. I'm like, oh my goodness, we have to play Proud Wildbonder. So definitely a big fan of the card in general. And then our last side here, some of our instants and sorceries kind of removal that we're playing. We're playing 4 Monstrous Rage. It gives a creature +2/+0 until end of turn for a red, but we give it a monster roll token, which gives it 1/1 and trample. So it's just another trampler enabler. And then what's really cool is the monster roll just stays attached to it, which is pretty sweet. So it's basically +3/+1 in trample, which is pretty cool. Then we're playing 4 Wild Slash and 2 Obliterating Bolt as our removal spell. Just as a little tidbit, Wild Slash, I would normally be playing Play with Fire, but due to budgetary reasons, I am just sticking with the 4 Wild Slash. And then Obliterating Bolt, pretty self-explanatory for the most part. So that's our entire main board except for our lands, which is really simple. We're playing 4 Ramunap Ruins and 16 Mountains. Ramunap Ruins is obviously really good just because late game we can sacrifice a desert, deal 2 to each opponent, and then the mountains are the mountains. You know, that's really enough said. There's nothing I could say about Mountain for the most part. But the one thing I will include is I don't think we've included this basic land before, but obviously is the spicy basic land of the day. I decided to do the really, really cool full art March of the Machine one. I really like this art. I don't know 100% what plane that is on. If you do know the plane, let me know in the comment section below, because that is some very, very wicked art. Definitely a big fan of that. So don't go anywhere. Even though we're done talking about the deck, we still have to talk about our sideboard and our upgrade options, which is very simple because we're a budget deck. Graveyard Hate. We're definitely going to want Graveyard Hate. Tormod's Crypt and Soul Guide Lantern are the best options for us on this budget. We're going to want some extra removal. Cards like Lithomantic Barrage is really good. Non-budget lists can play Rending Volley. You can also play a Braid. That's also fantastic. And then anti-life gain. The best anti-life gain, I would say, is like cards like Giant Cindermaw. For non-budget decks, you could play cards like Roiling Vortex or Rampaging Ferocidon. You could also play the War of the Spark Tibalt if you really wanted to play something spicy for like a budget anti-life gain. But in this metagame, you're definitely going to want to have those cards for sure. And the last thing we got to talk about is the upgrade options. It's really simple. You're going to want to go to 4 Legion Loyalists. The card is absolutely incredible, especially in this deck, being able to grant Trample for the few cards that technically don't have it. That's very, very important. And then upgrade the utility lands. So I would include like some Den of the Bugbears as well as a Sekenzan for sure. Those are the cards that I would at least include, and then Play with Fire. I would swap out the Wild Slashes. You're not going to be targeting your opponent a lot with it to get the scry, but it is something that can happen, so do keep that in mind. I figured Wild Slash was better than playing something like Torch the Tower, for instance, but I'm definitely a big fan of Play with Fire. Definitely put those in the deck if you already have those before you're building the deck. So, all right, well, that takes us to the end of the video. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the list? Is there a card with Trample that I forgot to include in the list? Just let me know down there. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming videos, just let me know in the comment section below. Again, a lot of the videos recently have been from viewer suggestions for deck text. So just let me know if you have a spicy deck that you'd like to see featured here on the channel. So, I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.